Okay, hi everybody, and welcome to the Ozzy and Keats podcast. John Keating here in Grand Haven, Michigan. Chris Osgood for a time still standing in Western Canada. Ozzy and Keats is brought to you by Vanderlawn Home Improvement, your trusted home improvement partner for windows, roofing, siding, gutters, and doors since 1940. We are brought to you through the hand-holding of Podcast Nation, and as we always say, we're not great, we're just okay. We're going to be joined by TV star, current Tigers analyst, and former outfielder Andy Dirks on this podcast episode in a moment. We'll get his thoughts on the Tarik Skubal trade at the deadline. And that leads me to start like this with you. You were traded once from the Islanders to St. Louis on the deadline day in the NHL, March 11th, 2003. What were the days like leading up to that? Did you know you were going to be traded, and did you have any idea to whom you were going to be traded?
We had a great year with the Islanders the year before. Made the playoffs. We had a lot of good young players. We had Alexei Yashin, Michael. We had a lot of good players. We had a good team again. We added young guys. We got off to a rough start. So the trade deadline was coming. I already went on the West Coast trip in Canada, which you know a lot about. So I already went with the Islanders, Edmonton, Calgary, the whole trip. Now I'm in Vancouver, and that's the day of the trade deadline. And then I got traded right at the deadline. Like, when you're in the dressing room, you've been in the dressing room in Vancouver, all the TVs are in there so you can see. I actually saw that I got traded before I got told.
Oh my gosh, really?
Oh yeah. Yeah, because it comes across the ticker. You know the ticker there that comes across. And it was just the timing of it. So I had to fly all the way back to St. Louis because I had hurt my ankle earlier, so they had to medically clear me. So I flew all the way back to St. Louis. And then guess where St. Louis was starting? Their West Coast trip. So I got two West Coast trips back to back. And poor Jenna was in Long Island, had to move from Long Island to St. Louis by herself. And I'm nestled on this 2-week trip out in the Western Canada. So I did the West Coast trip twice, and actually, and coincided. We're coming back. My first game was in Nashville. So it started out perfect. So finished. So I had back-to-back West Coast trips. You know how that ends up at times. But it's never easy getting traded. I would say that. And I enjoyed Long Island a lot. We had a really good young team, and playing New York is different. It's a lot of fun. Enjoyed it a lot. So you kind of had an inclination, because I think it was the last year of my contract, that I would get traded in all likelihood, because they had a young goalie. DiPietro had been taken first overall. They had him and Garth Snow. So I thought, there'd be a chance. And off to St. Louis, which I enjoyed, but it's never easy getting traded. I mean, this isn't get traded once, picked up on waivers, and once traded. So, I mean, guys like Mike Sillinger, who just switch a lot, and there's those guys that kind of get that reputation because they're good players, and they provide value for teams that get traded every year, play for 8 to 10 teams. So, I mean, I never found it easy at all. I remember I walked in the St. Louis's dressing room, first guy I met, who I grew up, it's like when I met Mike Vernon when he came to Detroit, because I would watch him early. I grew up 2.5 hours south of Calgary, was Al McInnes, who I loved growing up watching him play for the Calgary Flames. And
he's your teammate, right? Yeah.
Yeah, now he's my teammate. And my biggest thing was, I wonder how hard he shoots in practice, because there was one thing, he had a hard shot in games, and he broke my hand once with a slap shot on this side, my blocker side. And I thought to myself, is he going to shoot like that in practice all the time? He didn't, John. He kept it low every time. He turned it over. He was very respectful, guys in front, or even the goalie. So I'll never really let it loose all the time, or if any, in practice. But the guy was, and it's funny when you go around, you play against guys, they're good. But once you play with them, and then you get a whole new respect for how good they are. And I would say the two guys on that team, one, the late Pavel Demitra was unbelievable. I mean, this guy was a fantastic player. I always talk about him when guys mention to me, guys that are underrated or guys that are really good. He was Datsuk-like. The guy had a shot. He could score. He was a fantastic player. And just unfortunate circumstances for himself and his family. And the other two guys, Chris Pronger and Al McInnes.
Sure.
Unbelievable. Pronger was great. Yeah. So fortunate to play with players like that, and in the Nick Lidstrom category, in my estimation.
All right. Were you ever gutted at the deadline, losing a teammate, or being surprised that a teammate was going to be moved? And I looked up some of yours. deadline moves that were made. Jamie Pusher for Dmitry Mironov,
Yeah.
spring of '98. And then, in '99, on the same day, I mean, and Red Wing fans will remember this day, all of a sudden, Chris Chelios gets picked up for Anders Eriksson and 2 first-round picks, Wendell Clark from Tampa for your guy Kevin Hodson, goalie Bill Ranford from Tampa. I mean, the deadline days are head spinning, aren't they?
Yeah. The thing about that too is players move on pretty darn quick. You have your friends that you play with and guys, but it's part of it. To be honest, and guys move on. You get new teammates. You get used to them. You adjust, you change, but it's like you and I still have it a bit. Like we still have some chemistry, just a little bit, not as much as we
I
used
don't know
to.
about that.
It's waning, it's falling apart.
Yes.
It's like it's leaking oil. Because you mentioned Jamie Pusher, and that's the first name that came to my mind. And I mean, not a lot of Red Wing fans, or maybe they do remember him. We got drafted the same year. That's why.
Yeah.
In 1991, I believe. And like guys like Marty LaPointe. So when you get with those guys, you always kind of have an attachment. And Jamie Pusher played for Lethbridge Hurricanes, which was a little bit more than an hour from where I grew up. So we were pretty close. We drove to Detroit together. We were at camp together for the first time. I mean, him and I would figure out how to get to the rink every day in training camp. We had no car. We figured out how to get to the Joe Louis Arena from the Hotel Poncha train together. So we roomed together. So we were pretty close. We played in the minors together. So, I mean, we had a pretty good relationship. And when I run into him still, it's a great thing. But losing him, he's my closest friend at the time on the team. And so, yeah, that was difficult. We got traded to the Anaheim Ducks, right? The Mighty Ducks are called.
He did,
I believe. And so that was tough. So there's two sides to it. There's that side of it that's tough, and then, but when it happens, John, it's you got to move on right away. I mean, players come and go. Your job is to win games, and you move on. You stay in touch, but that was I would say the closest one that I said wherever you want to say, darn, Push isn't here anymore. So
okay. It wasn't.
Now for you, that would be different. I mean, when you left and you waved to the guys when they're on the ice, and they give you a little tribute.
Right.
I wasn't thinking the same thing. I was like celebrating, like this is enough. Like I can't take it. It's a matter of time before something bad happens. And sure enough, something bad. The stage almost broke, and you almost went down. Of course, you're holding a baby, one of your grandchildren. Which, there's a rule, folks. You're only supposed to have so many people on this little man-made island stage that we have there at the LCA, which you know how much I hated doing the games there. I mean, the other one was a great location, and it's just complete. It's like being in and it's not good. I mean, I'm not saying that because it's not fun, because we did have a lot of fun there, especially your last game. But that game was one of my favorites I've ever done. Was when the stage broke, because we predicted it, and I said one of the 3 ways you're going to go out. The Lover's Lane story. I don't know if I've said that one on here before. And the stage would break, and sure enough, the stage did break with your family on it.
I know. Yeah, we were posing for pictures. That's the story. We were posing for pictures, and all the families on there, and it was I guess more than the stage could. And thankfully, everybody was okay. You want to share your Lover's Lane story again, just for anybody who might have missed it?
Oh, did I remember that? The one where you, I mean, we'll just say, because we can't mention names, you'll stop off an establishment, right, near a Lover's Lane. So you're not in the best of condition now. Now you're in Lover's Lane. Probably you should have been walking there. Now you're in Lover's Lane, and in a how am I going to put it? Like in a confused state, self-inflicted, expose yourself at Lover's Lane and get arrested, and that would be your demise.
That was, I mean, and I'm not sure how this was at the beginning of us getting to know each other. That's what he told me. Here's how it's going to end for you. You're going to get overserved. You're going to go into Lover's Lane, and you're going to expose yourself, and the cops are going to come, and then that's going to be it. So thankfully that didn't happen. At least not yet. How about that? I'll leave that.
Not yet.
I'll leave that for you. All right. It wasn't a deadline deal, and we'll get to Andy Dirks in just a second. But do you recall the reaction to the monster trade that brought Brendan Shanahan to Detroit in October of '96? Because the Wings traded away, I mean, two big names in Paul Coffey and Keith Primo, and a first-round draft pick.
I think we might have left Paul Coffey in New Jersey for that one. Now, I'm pretty sure we did. That time, Scotty and Koff weren't exactly getting along like they used to, so that wasn't. And then Keith Primo, he was a big center, young. He was had a ton of potential. Went on to have a great career, especially with the Flyers. Wow, Deere played well there. But Shanny was in Hartford, and they had a great niche. But Brendan Shanahan was a very good player, drafted by them. I mean, actually, Hartford did a good job at Chris Pronger as well. But we needed a player. What do I want to say? Bob Probert like, but can play and can be tough and can we needed that kind of side of our game, and he was a perfect fit. And that to me, when you look back at all the trades, and you mentioned Chelios, which was huge. I mean, what he brought on and off the ice can't be understated. But the Brendan Shanahan trade was really what took the team to the next level.
Yeah,
and he came in, that power forward, the Irishman. He could fight anybody. He could score goals. He was one of the best power forwards to play the game. When you mention him, he should be in that conversation for sure. But he just brought that an element we didn't have. And now you have him, McCarty, Lapointe. You suddenly become this. You have your star players that can score. Now we have stars that are also tough and can score. So, I mean, it just upped the ante for our team and the expectations. So, to me, that was the trade that really catapulted our team and the Red Wings to the next level.
Okay,
for sure.
And all the trade talk is because of the Tigers trading away primarily Tarik Skubal. We'll get Andy Dirks' thoughts on that. The Tigers broadcaster is going to join us in a moment. But we will have after that questions for Ozzy from the internet. Hey, Vanderlaan Home Improvement is your local source for your roof, siding, window, door, and gutter needs. They've been covering the entire west side of the state for 85 years. With offices in Hudsonville and Traverse City, they can help you guard your home against whatever Michigan weather throws at it. If you want an honest assessment of your roof, need help with drafty, rotted, or leaking windows, siding that is outdated, needs painting or staining, doors that don't lock or are falling apart, or if you have areas of your house that need gutters or gutters that are failing, give them a call or check them out on their website, vanderlaans.com. Okay, and Ozzy and Keats continues, and we are happy to be joined by former outfielder, current broadcaster, and father of many, Andy Dirks joins us. And here's what I learned about Andy Dirks in my homework. He played winter ball in the Dominican. He had 2 game-winning hits that led to Leonis winning a championship. And as a result of that, I read, he is something of a big deal, a celebrity in the Dominican.
Yeah.
How much of a big deal are you in the Dominican, or were you back then?
When they carry you off the field on their shoulders, and I had several nicknames there. One was Gringo Loco for good reason. One was King Andy. I can't remember exactly how they said that, but that's why I give Benetti a hard time. I'm like, you're somewhat of a national star, but I'm an international star over here.
You're global. You are global.
That's right. I've done it all over the place. You've done it here in the U.S. That's cute, but I've done it in the Caribbean, of all places. So no, it was really awesome times in my life. I've been very fortunate to do some of the coolest things on the planet with sports and in family and in life. Very blessed to have those experiences. The Dominican was really cool because it gives you a different sense of how baseball can be played. Because whether we like it or not, like the U.S. isn't the only place where sports happen, right? And the Dominican baseball is the number one sport. So you go to the island and everybody there is obsessed with baseball. There is a sandlot everywhere you go. There's kids playing on every field. You go into the city, all they talk about is baseball. The radio stations all talk about baseball. So when you play winter ball, you go there and right away they expect you to win. Like it's like you're playing in the big leagues at a little smaller scale, but the intensity and the fans and the World Baseball Classic, you get to see a little bit of that, like with Venezuela this year, and just how passionate they are to play for their country. And the bands in the stands, like there's bands, there's cheerleaders everywhere. It's wild, but great experience. And the Dominican culture is more island culture, which is more laid back. Like in the U.S., like if you're not on time, the bus just leaves, right? Like there's no waiting around. Like I never once met a guy who was late to a baseball practice. You would have been like, I don't know, they would have shot you. I thought. I never know what would happen because it never happened. So I'm in the Dominican, and we're going to I'm playing for the Toros del Este, and we're going to a place, San Francisco, not San Francisco, California, but San Francisco, Dominican. It's like a 4-hour bus trip. So they're like, hey, meet at the bus at 9, and we have the Gringo wagon. They take us from our hotel to the bus in the Gringo wagon, and then we wait there. And nine hits. I'm like, why is the bus leaving? There's like, it's just the Gringos. None of the Dominicans are there yet, players. They start rolling in, and they're happy. Hey, what's up? You know, what's going on? 9:30 rolls around. Keats, we haven't left. About 9:45, you know, they're like, okay, yeah, we can go now. I'm like, why'd you tell us to be here at 9? They're like, don't worry about it, Poppy. It's all right. Chill, tranquilo. So I learned, like, you can be very relaxed and not take things so seriously. That football mentality that we all have in the U.S., that we were raised on. In baseball, of all sports, it actually is good to be, at times, a little more laid back. Don't take things quite so seriously because it's such a long season and there's so much failure involved. So it's this great learning experience. Moises Alou was our general manager. Learned a ton from him. It was awesome.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
Was there more pressure playing Dominican, Andy, or as a player? Or
MLB is the pinnacle of pressure.
Yeah.
Like, without question. Like, there, the pressure really came from the fans because worst case scenario as a player coming in, maybe, you know, because you're there to get reps is kind of why they would send you there. But I embraced it more to let's play baseball and win. That's why they loved me. I played hard. But when you win, they love you. And if you're not winning, they just want you to go back to the States. They're like, you're not helping us. Just leave. Just go back. Right. It was the first time I ever got paid any kind of money in baseball too. So go from the minor leagues where I was making, I think my first paycheck was $1,100 for the month. For the month. That's pre-tax, before tax, right? And then they paid me $8,000 cash. And I was like, what? For what? The month. So I went from I 4X my baseball salary just by going to the Dominican. So when Al Avila is the one that set it up, when he's like, hey, you want to go play? I'm like, man, I don't know. What's the deal? He's like, you know, I talked to him, they pay $8,000 a month. I'm like, I'm in. I don't know where I'm going. Never heard of the Dominican other than the players I played with. Let's do it.
All right, we'll talk more about your playing career in a little bit. The Tigers obviously are a great story right now as we record this. They just traded Tarik Skubal and Casey Mize. Your reaction to especially the Skubal trade was what?
It's an unknown trade. It's very difficult because we've seen this Tigers team. It's just a roller coaster. They can play such good baseball, and you're thinking, man, last year they were the best team in the American League, and then in September, you know, towards the end of the year, they just fell off the map and barely made it in the playoffs. And those peaks and valleys, it's just hard to predict exactly where this team was going to head. And I think, you know, for management, upper management like Scott and everybody's got to make these really hard decisions. I'm glad I wasn't in their position. I'll just say that. With Skubal and with Mize, the amount of talent that you're able to acquire into your organization is huge. The players they got, they'll make an impact. Some of those players are going to make an impact in the big leagues. I believe that for sure. Now, the other side of it is starting pitching was the place where the Tigers had a decent amount of guys who had come up and really shown things. Cater Montero, Troy Melton, Fromber's still here. And then they knew that Drew Anderson threw a couple quality starts. You know, they brought him in to be kind of that leverage or longer leverage guy in the bullpen, but he was a starter in Korea. They knew that, hey, we can give him the ball. So there was some options there to continue this season and also build. You hate to see Skubal go. You hate it just as a fan, I don't think there was one person that wanted to see Skubal go, but there's also decisions that have to be made. It's the business side of it. And now they're in this crazy position where they're actually, if the playoffs started tomorrow, they would be in.
I know.
It's crazy.
that could change when this podcast drops. But at least as we record this, they're a playoff team, and I'm not sure any of us saw that coming. But it's great. It's great fun. It's great fun for everybody who follows the team, and those of you who describe the games.
2024 all over again, just a little sooner. They're in a much better position than they were in 2024. That was the wildest season I ever saw in my life.
Yeah. What do you test, Andy? What do you test to the turnaround? What's the biggest factor for the Tigers?
Young talent. So they got that youthful energy, and they're healthier. Like Hobby's back, and Hobby's playing good baseball. He's a big part of it. You saw what Kevin McGonigal's done this year. Troy Melton, Howie Lee stepped up in a big way when Gleyber Torres was on the shelf for a little bit, and proved that he can handle his at-bats. He's a good defender. Zach McKinstry's playing better. You take out May, this roster is a good roster. It's a good ball club. But when you get off to that rough of a start, you just don't know how much they can overcome the hump. And what's cool is the resilience factor of this ball club. Like these guys, all the noise, all the negativity surrounding them in May, them at the trade deadline. Like, I don't know if there's been a positive article written about the Tigers up until probably about a week ago when a few days ago. Like everybody was so down on them because the expectation was to win the division.
Yeah.
They're supposed to be one of the best teams in the American League. They're supposed to go potentially deep into the playoffs. So all the negativity when you not only don't hit those expectations, but really fail miserably in the beginning of the season, you just got to dig your way out of that ditch. And most guys in baseball understand it's such a long season that there's time. You just have to get to playing good baseball and having fun and being relaxed. And it's like once the expectation left that team, they just went out and started playing. I felt like in May, with all the injuries, guys are pressing. They're not having the seasons they wanted to. They're not off to the starts they wanted to. The numbers aren't looking as good as they wanted to. That's tough mentally to battle through. And kudos to AJ and the staff and everybody for just keeping them engaged and moving them one day forward, one day at a time. Let's just get a little better today. We're not going to win the season in one game. And we've seen the Tigers just play their best baseball here in the last month and a half of the season so far.
Let's go back to May 16th, 2011. The Tigers were playing the Toronto Blue Jays.
Yeah.
And this moment happened. Watch and listen along with us, Andy.
Here's Andy Dirks. Bouncing ball left side. There's his first major league hit. A single the opposite way, and Dirks is aboard. And his mom, Denise,
There's
and
Mama
Dad,
Dirk.
Rick, very proud. So take that baseball out of play. Congratulations, Andy.
Andy has some speed, so McDonald at third is drawn in, and he just kind of slaps his two-seam fastball away from him, right past drawn-in McDonald for a solid single.
That's how you get a knock right there.
Look out, Mom.
But the best of it was "Look Out, Mom" from Rod Allen, just saying, getting Denise got plenty of airtime there. Look out, Mom.
Right.
So she,
look out, Mom. Yeah.
What was the discussion like after that game with Mom and Dad after your first major league hit?
I think they're just proud of you. It's something that they've sacrificed a lot. They've saw me go through the ups and downs of what it takes to become a Major League Baseball player. The good, the bad, the ugly, the on-the-field stuff, the off-the-field stuff, from when I was a kid playing local travel ball, spending our weekends at the Back Diamonds in, Lyons, Kansas, out in the middle of nowhere, to junior college baseball, playing in Pratt when the wind's blowing 40 miles an hour and there's like 10 fans in the stands, all the way to the minor leagues, where I got no money and I'm like, hey, Mom, like my bank account's running a little low over here. Can you throw me 100? Right. So they're just super proud of what the accomplishment means of their son. They know how hard I worked, and I was never a high prospect. I was never the guy that was, I was a good athlete, three sport athlete in high school, very above average in athletics. Baseball, I was always gifted at. But as you go up in levels, you see pretty quickly there's other guys that are very gifted too. And they know that with my personality type, that I just put my nose to the grindstone and just got after it for many, many years to put myself in that position. And when I got the hit, they're just pumped. There is nothing like it. After the game, they just hug you, say, we're so proud of you. Great job. Now keep going, and that's kind of was the drumbeat of our family. One of the cool things, like my dad wasn't a man of many words, but he was always more about my effort, my attitude than my performance, which was massive for me because, you see a lot of different types of parents and, there's the overbearing parents that they want it so bad for their kid, but they're screaming and hollering at every ref and everything along the way. And all my dad cared about was, did I get after it and give my best effort? And was my attitude positive and constantly trying to get better and win? And that stuck with me. So that helped me so much in those minor league days when you're on the backfields and there's fire ants under your feet and you're like,
Sure.
you're
Sure.
0 for 4 and you go, oh man, do I even belong here? It's like, no, yeah, you do. Just keep going and keep grinding. And that spring training in 2011, I come off of playing pretty good ball in the Dominican. I had a good spring training. And when I was in spring training that year, my dad was like, hey, how's it feel to be with the big boys? Because that was my first invite to big league spring training, full invite. And I was like, hey, Dad, I am one of the big boys. There's a switch that has to get flipped in an athlete's mind to go from that minor league mentality to I'm a big leaguer. And it's not the same for every guy. And you see some guys kind of struggle with that. Do I belong at that level? Do I have that confidence? And some of that's from coaches along the way, people just pouring into you, just saying, no, you got what it takes. You're good enough. Because there's so much self-doubt that you fight with as an athlete as you're trying to, go up in levels. Now, my experience is going to be different than a guy like Spencer Torkelson, who, first overall picks, they have a different challenge to try to meet an expectation, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of coaches, any great Jimmy Leyland stories for us?
Yeah.
Here we go. Here we go.
We love
Now it's on.
So Skip, me and Skip in spring training, you'd come across the street even when you're a younger player, and in the minor leagues, and Skip was always amazing to the guys who weren't stars, right? Whether or not you were a prospect or not, if you were on his bench and you were in that lineup card to any degree, he treated you like a big leaguer and respected you like a big leaguer. He would give you the same amount of crap as he would give any other guy on the roster, right? So a little bit of that is figuring out is he serious right now? What's going on, right? So in that game when I got my hit, the guy's name was Kyle Drabeck that was pitching.
Sure.
He was actually the only guy to this day that ever struck me out 3 times in a ball game in Double-A. So when I was in Double-A, we faced Drabeck, and he punched me out 3 times in the same game. Nobody's ever done that to this day. And, of course, my debut is against him. And I go,
of course.
Oh, all right, let's rock and roll. So I get the hit, and I forgot that Drabeck's got a plus move to first. He picked me off. If I get my hit, I take my lead. I'm like, oh, let's go. I'm about to get me a bag over here, And then whack, he picked me off, and I go back to the dugout, and Skip's like, oh, well, it's good swing. Just don't do that on the bases. Can't have that on the bases, And then he pulled me out of the game. Later, we were up by 2 runs or a run, and he put Donnie Kelly in left for me, which I'm a defender. That's part of my MO. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I screwed this thing up, And then he's like, no. After the game, he's like, no, I just know it's your debut, and I trust Donnie in left. I just got to see you play a little bit more, make sure that the nerves and stuff aren't getting to you. And then pretty quickly he learned that he could trust me, but Skip was amazing. His ability to manage the individual player was really special. Whether it was Andy Dirks or Builder or whoever it was.
Yeah. I mean, and what a team you had in 2012 that went to the World Series. Unfortunately, came up short there. But let's get into your broadcasting days. The late great Jim Price began to feel under the weather, and so he was missing some games, and so they tapped you on the shoulder to come into the radio broadcast booth. Did you have that idea in your head that might be something that you wanted to do, to get into broadcasting, to the point that now you're on with Jason on the Detroit Sportsnet?
Never a thought, Keats. Not once in my wildest dreams would I imagined I would be in broadcast. I was local, so I married Megan, who's local to the metro area. We ended up settling in the Metro.
And by the way, you stole Megan from us because she was a Fox Sports girl, and one of my teammates, and all of a sudden she's marrying the Detroit Tiger star. Okay, continue.
Right. So I'm running a real estate company. So after I got done playing, they said, hey, think about coaching. I had 2 back surgeries. So in 14, I had a back surgery. In 15, I had a back surgery. And then by then it was like, hey, talking to the surgeon, like, if you keep at this rate, like the rest of your life's very compromised. So that was a very difficult time in my life. But then I decided, hey, like anybody else, like, why not get into real estate, right? You can make some money. So I was running a real estate company here in business and as an agent, then a broker in the Metro. And I was literally flipping hamburgers at like 4 o'clock one after 5 o'clock, getting ready for dinner. I was making dinner for the kids, and somebody calls me. I didn't even have the number saved. I answer. I'm like, hey, this is Andy. They're like, hey, Andy, this is so-and-so with the Tigers. Just wanted to see, if you had any interest in jumping on a few broadcasts. And I'm like, yeah, shoot, that sounds fun. Sounds like something different to do. And I'm like, when are you thinking? They're like, how about tonight?
Wow.
And I'm like, let's rock and roll, let's go. Yeah. So get up there, and that, and they were trying to find a quick fill-in because Jim had, was sick that day. And, but ended up doing it, hit it off with Dan, had a lot of fun doing it. And, the learning process was on. But the first game I did was actually in like 2019. Mm-hmm. And then then COVID hit, and then all the stuff happened. And it wasn't until 2022 when I really, that's when Jim really started making a turn for the worse and started getting some more games, and just had fun doing it. I had no expectation going in. I know baseball like the back of my hand. I got in so much trouble for talking too much as a grade school kid, so it was a very, very good fit for me. And I'm very fortunate to have Dickerson and Benetti and you, Keats, and just all the guys with all the experience that I've been around, just watching, learning, adjusting my craft as I've went. And the Tigers have been great, like just letting me just go do what I would do naturally. It's been a lot of fun, but that's kind of where it started. They said, hey, you want to do a few more? Hey, you want to do a few more? Hey, you want to try TV? I'm like, sure. I think the first TV thing I ever did was with you, Keats, and
probably
in a pre and post over in Southfield.
Right. Yeah. In our studio in Southfield. Yeah.
Right.
Oh. But no, I mean, obviously we have learned that you can dissect it at bat, or the mindset of a hitter as to what he should be looking for, or what's coming, as well as anybody else. I know that from your baseball days, but being able to translate that to listeners and viewers, that's really the art form, isn't it?
Yeah, and I had to be a smart player. Like I had ability. Like, don't get it twisted. Like, I was a very good athlete. I had a lot of ability, good hand-eye coordination. But if you look at me versus some of the other prospects, like when I was coming through the system, when I hit AA, I was like, these guys are insanely good. The Brennan Bosches, Casper Wells, those guys of the world who are just better at different things than me. They can hit the ball a mile. Cleat Thomas, this dude's tool set was ridiculous.
Cleat Thomas, wow.
Yeah. And I'm over here like hitting a single to left, and I'm trying to play good defense, and then these guys get up and hit home runs way over center field fence. I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is a different league, So every place I landed from AA on, like AA was my big adjustment period. AA was very tough. 2-0 changeups, backdoor sliders, and 3-1 counts. Like, they just pitch you different. And I had to learn to adapt and adjust to that. And as I kept going, I had Toby Harrell was a big one of our hitting rover in the minor leagues who absolutely helped me a ton. So a lot of credit to Toby and just staff, Andy Barquette, Larry Hernan. I had him in A-ball. He was awesome. But all these guys that kind of touch you throughout that organization, Gino Roof helped me in the outfield. Like, you just slowly keep building your craft and to where it's playable at the big league level. Right. And for me, I learned that if you can't beat them physically, you can definitely outthink them in baseball. Like, I can get a little edge here. I can understand the situation a little better. My defensive positioning can be a little better. My base running, like how I round second, I can get there a little quicker, going first to third, stealing bags, whatever it was. I was always trying to find that little edge to be able to compete. And in the batter's box, that's where the battle starts. And one of the cool things about being from the middle of nowhere in Kansas and living in a very blue collar family is we keep things simple, baby. You don't overcomplicate it. Like the more you complicate it, the harder it gets. It's hard enough. So I figured out a way to do very difficult things, keep them simple in my mind. And that's where I think a lot of the commentating I speak from.
Yeah.
Is just the simplest approach to get the job done well.
How long did it take for you to get that, how am I going to put this, with Jason Benetti, that chemistry with him right away?
Day one.
You guys are great together.
Yeah. So I've never gotten overly nervous about things, which, because I know this, and I've learned this just from life and baseball and all the things that life's thrown me, is you don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. You have no clue. And I have this saying I always say, just put the hay in the barn the best you know how. Like, get the hay in the barn. Once the hay's in the barn, it's in the barn. Like, how it got there, can we improve on that? Well, maybe next time. But I don't overanalyze. I don't overthink things to a degree that makes me so nervous that I can't just go be me, right? And I think a lot of young people, especially in the media industry, there's this mold that they think they have to fit. And if you don't fit that mold, you're out, right? And they get so nervous that if I'm not this exact person, then they're not going to love me. They're not going to. People like authenticity. And I think that's kind of the new wave too. Like, society's changed in the last 5 years with social media and everything. People just like somebody who's authentic to who they are. So when me and Benetti, we did a radio game because he had, he couldn't do with his relationship with Fox or his deal with Fox, he couldn't do a Roku game or whatever it was. So Dickerson went over, Benetti did the radio, and I'm just sitting there, leaned back in my chair, and he starts going a little bit, and he said something, and I gave him a little, he said some word that nobody knows what that even means. And I was like, hey, Benetti, what's that word even mean? He laughed. And then, but right away from that broadcast, you knew there was probably, like, I liked him, he liked me, we got along, we think the same on a lot of different items, but we also aren't afraid to call each other out when we don't see eye to eye.
Well, yeah, and it's you got to pay attention to everything Jason says, because there are so many things that are, pop culture references or stuff that, is only funny to him. But, it's like once you listen to, I get it. I see where he was going there. There's a lot of that. Hey, we've kept you too long. It's time to put the hay in the barn, as you like to say.
I love that. Love that.
We appreciate your time here, and we enjoy watching you on TV, and I enjoyed working with you for a short time on TV back in the day, and we wish you all the best going forward the rest of the season and to the family as well.
Thanks, Ozzy. Thanks, Keats.
Yeah, thanks, Bet.
All right. Thanks, Andy.
Thanks,
Ozzy and Keats will continue in just a moment. A word now from Vanderlawn Home Improvement. They are your local exterior contractor with 85 years in the industry. Vanderlaan's does not do high-pressure sales tactics and will give you an honest assessment on the exterior of your home. They have a variety of products from which to choose to fit what you're looking to achieve. Reach out to them today at vanderlaans.com. All right, we continue, and on the podcast regularly, I just pull some questions out of the air to ask Chris Osgood and get his opinion about a variety of things. This time, I reached out to all of our friends, all of our viewers and listeners on the internet to ask them what they wanted to ask you. Chad asks Ozzy, did you interact much with any other non-hockey athletes, Tigers, Lions, Pistons, during your playing days, and are there any memorable stories?
A few. I remember in that era, it was a long time ago. I remember but the Tigers weren't that great, but Bobby Higginson was there. A couple other players, but not a lot. We go to games for sure. I remember Jamie Pusher and Anders Eriksson caught a foul ball after curfew on the rail. Not a foul ball, a home run ball. Because what's that? That level came over top of the field, and was that right field? And they caught the ball. And Scotty Bowman
at Tiger Stadium.
And Scotty Bowman, we'd always have these like meetings the next day of video, but it was on VHS. So you'd roll in the TV. Remember those rollers? You'd roll in the TV, the tube TV,
sure,
which sat on the plastic rolling cart.
Yeah,
and
like
Scotty put it on.
the AV person at school. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're going through all the highlights. You'd watch a clip of your team, then you have to rewind it if you want to see it again. And then at the end, he put on the clip of Jamie Pusher, and Anders Eriksson catching a foul ball. And I knew again I may as well have been there because it was like the scenario when I got caught out past curfew and Chris Draper he wasn't there, but he may as well have been. And it was the same scenario. Jamie pushing Anders Eriksson catching a ball, which was a fantastic catch, by the way. But we're caught past curfew because they're obviously red-handed, literally. And I was thinking to myself, I may as well have been there because he's looking at me like I know you were there as he's showing the video. I'm like, so I may as well have been there. But yeah, it was.
But that was Scotty though. I mean, Scotty, it's like he knew everything that was going on everywhere. Somebody obviously told him that they saw those guys leaning over the rail at right field at Tiger Stadium. But for him to find that out is
probably got the clip.
It's not surprising because he was everywhere.
No,
right?
He was everywhere, and had it and knew everything. That was the thing about Scotty. There's nothing you get by him. I mean, from the jerseys hanging outside the hotels late at night, sticks, whatever. Scotty had his finger, his pulse on every single thing everybody was doing, and making sure we were ready, making sure we were doing the right things. And you look back on it, and we laughed about it at the time, when he shows the video. It was great. But other players that would have hung out, I mean, I caught once in the bullpen for Jonesy. I remember that. I knew him a little bit, but not that much. The old closer for the Tigers.
Right.
Go to a few Lions games at the Silverdome of all places. Oh my gosh, what a place that was. But mostly I lived beside Dominic Raiola. He in Northville. He when he moved there, he was young.
Lions lineman, yeah, right.
Yeah, and I just remember when they all came over to his house and they're hanging out. I remember how small I was. I was sitting on the couch and Jenna came over and I looked like I was like Danny DeVito on the couch. I was just sitting there so little and I was jammed in. All these big guys. And, Lions favorite Joey Harrington was there too. I remember, and he was quiet, but I would hang out with some guys, not a ton, but a little bit for sure.
I'm sure they were delighted to be hanging out with
Not really.
the star
They're
goalie
like,
for the Red
who the
Wings
heck
at
is
the
this
time.
little guy?
Yeah,
With no,
right.
no idea. No idea.
All right, Des Ryan has a question.
Mhm.
Could you give us a positive or funny Steve Yzerman story? We need an uplift right now. What was it like
Steve Yzerman?
being around Steve Yzerman back in the day?
I roomed with Steve in the playoffs when we went 1998, I believe. Steve had a good personality. He jokes around for sure. I mean, he's
a lot of Red Wing
story.
fans don't see that, right? They never saw him joking around
A good
or
story,
smiling.
and I'm a good story. I hope Steve doesn't get mad. I don't think he will, but I always think like I see like guys like Brett Hall and all these guys are great golfers, and Modano have these great hands, and you see him golf, and Joey Kosher is fantastic, and McCarty, and then you Steve Yzerman, who's got these great hands, flipping pucks over top of people into the empty net and score all these goals you'd expect. He's going to be a great golfer. No, it was the total opposite. This slice that would go on forever. So you joke around about that. Now you can only joke around so much with Stevie, but he's a lot more relaxed. There's one-on-one, you have conversations with him. He's even in a group setting. It's a lot, John, being the GM. When you're
Sure.
you're the big cat at Fox. There's lots of pressure on you. You came to the grumpy sometimes and whatever, but
I was only grumpy when I saw you coming.
Only a little bit.
That was it, yeah.
Or you had some of those nice reads of yours in the April and the D and that stuff, which I enjoyed as well. I mean, the only thing I hope for before we end all this and you go up to the Michael Landon spot one day is that you have a Lover's Lane read. I love for you, Fred, a Lover's Lane. But Stevie's he's the same as all of us. I mean, he was a very plain. He was serious, but not at times. But commanded respect. He wasn't a yeller. He said the right thing at all times. And I don't think in any way, shape, or form. I mean, it didn't work for one reason or another. I mean, it's hard. It's hard. We just talked about it. I mean, in any sport, it's hard. Free agency is hard. I mean, you can sign guys and you get them at July 1st, and how many times does it really work, and do they fit in? And then you're waiting for your young guys, so it's a lot goes into it. I mean, if think about it, right? I mean, it's like How many times it collapsed? 2 or 3 times in March, right? They should have made it. 2 of those for sure out of the 3. And if that would have happened, I think it would. We'd be sitting here talking about different things for sure.
Right.
I mean, we'd be talking about guys still here and other guys getting picked up. But in the end, I got tons of respect for Steve Yzerman. Big reason, 1998, a lot of pressure on me, held me through it. So, the guy's great and always will be.
Wouldn't it be great if someone at Lover's Lane was listening or watching the Ozzy and Keats podcast and heard us talking with delight about Lover's Lane and, might want to sponsor the Ozzy and Keats podcast? Wouldn't that be perfect? I mean,
as you were reading our reads and everything else, and you're speaking about it, I was thinking to my head, like, what the read would be like. I wasn't even listening to what you were saying. I was thinking, like, what would the read be like? Like what?
As I was talking about Vanderlaan's Home Improvement, you're thinking of what the read would be for Lover's Lane. Is
like,
that
how would it be worded? What will we talk about? Will we mention certain merchandise items they have in the aisles there?
Oh my God.
My all-time dream would be for you to be on like Channel 4 or whatever channel in Detroit, and you actually doing a Lover's Lane commercial of you in the store. Like, it'd be fantastic.
Didn't that guy used to do Tigers and Red Wings? Now look at him. I mean, how desperate is that guy
it's
for
like
money?
all those great actors. Like, now you see that you know how they always graduate to like late night infomercials and TV stuff.
I know.
That's where you're headed.
I know. It's like, how much do you need the money to be able to be doing that? Although people would ask the same thing about this damn podcast.
Well, Bill Bonds was what? Art Van Furniture? Is that right?
Art Van? Or am I wrong? One of the furniture, was it Gardner White or Art
Gardner
Van?
White. Yeah, Gardner White, I believe.
Okay.
You can be the Lover's Lane spokesperson as you're saying fade out of the sunset. And then you'll be that joke, oh yeah, that was that Lover's Lane guy.
All right, one more and we'll wrap it up.
What would your wife?
Oh my God,
honey, I'm now the spokesman representative.
Yeah, I got to go to work. I got to do one of those. I got to do some of those Lovers.
I'm headed off to the nice store in Saginaw tomorrow.
Oh my God! All right, David asks, and you've talked of this in the past. What was the mood like after the overtime loss to Pittsburgh at home in 2008? And of course, you guys won Game 7 after that.
Well, I remember walking in real quiet for the first, I don't want to say 3 minutes, which is a long time. We walked in because you're so close, right? I remember that game I'm watching, and Marc-Andre Fleury, a young version of him's at the other end, and he's diving around overtime. I remember Franzen had a wide open net over the net. Holmstrom had one. I mean, we had so many chances. Samuelson, so many near misses, right? And you want to win at home. I mean, I go back to like they scored on some tip deflection from the corner. It was crazy. I should have stayed on my post. I didn't. They tied it like in the last minute, I believe. Like there's not a lot of time left, so I was disappointed as it was. But then to go that long in overtime, have all the chances we have, I believe Hudler accidentally high sticked somebody, and he got a 4-minute penalty. And I think we killed off the first one, but not the second one, obviously, and ended up losing. But came in, I remember we were sitting there. Of course you're disappointed. I think they had the dressing room, like they were almost getting it ready in the regulation, and the cup's there, and all your family's there. So when you first walk in, you're disappointed, and that goes to anger. And then I remember Zetterberg stood up and just said, "We're winning the next game," and that was it. And everybody started. We were going to Pittsburgh and winning, and that was it. We just stood up, and guys looked at each other, and it wasn't like any other game. I'd be lying to say that, but guys were just like, okay, that's the way it's supposed to be. We're going there to win. That was more or less it. And guys just went about their business. Guys were tired too. I think it was triple overtime. I mean, geez, it was like you at a weekend softball tournament after the last game. I mean, you're trying to get the keys in the trunk. You can't because you're shaking from the night before. And, that's called withdrawals, by the way, John. You got your glove on backwards. You're using the wrong bat. You got your teammates' cleats on and your pants are on backwards. And you're wondering, what the hell is going on here? Then you wonder how you're going to get home. Your wife's going to come pick you up. She goes, John, what happened this weekend? I batted .295, 4 homers, and 10 RBIs. She'll go, how many beers? You go, I can't tell you. How many times you pop the trunk at a softball tournament? Oh, my gosh.
Jeez. All right. I guess that's a good place to end it.
You popping trunks and working at Lover's Lane.
The popping trunks and Lover's Lane. We thank the great Andy Dirks for joining us. We thank Podcast Nation
Yep.
in Troy. We thank you for watching and or listening a little bit. We thank Chris Osgood. I'm John Keating. Thanks for watching and listening. We'll see you next time on Ozzy and Keats, everybody.
Ozzy and Keats is produced by Zachary Davis and Bill McAllister and proudly distributed by Podcast Nation in Troy, Michigan.